what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Foot Candle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Foot Candle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. With me is Chris Fry, and we are both with the Foot Candle Film Society, the annual Foot Candle Film Festival, and here host of this podcast, Foot Candle Films. So, Chris, how are you doing today? The customary question I ask every single week, but how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I'm excited to talk. We review lots of films. Rarely do we review a documentary that we have actually seen in a theater. Because documentaries, although well respected, normally by the time we see them, it's, streaming or, just not often do we get to actually see a documentary in a theater. So this is cool.
No, it is. It's a good opportunity and kind of a interesting documentary as well, just in its format and scope. We're going to be talking about the film EPiC, Elvis Presley in Concert, or EPiC : because once again, the colon has returned to movie titles. EPiC, Elvis Presley in Concert. This is the documentary by Baz Luhrmann, who also did the Elvis film, I think 2 years ago. Anyway, we'll talk about this documentary here in a little bit in our main review. But following that review, we do have a couple of other things we'll be doing in this show. We have some trailers we'll be watching for the first time for either of us. 3 trailers that we've picked out of films that look interesting, or at least have the potential to be interesting. And we're going to watch the trailers, and we will make the ultimate decision and call Chris whether or not this film is going to be successful or not.
Oh dear.
We will make that call based on a 2.5 minute teaser that we have of this film. That's what trailers are meant to do.
A lot of pressure.
To go ahead and give us that incomplete perception of the film so we can decide whether or not we wish to see it or not. Of course, that's not how we really feel about trailers, but unfortunately, that does tend to have a little more impact than it should. But we're still going to watch them, and we'll talk about those trailers. And then Chris has a recommendation for us at the end of the show, a film recommendation that you do not want to miss. Stick around to the very end to make sure you hear that. I don't know what the recommendation is, but I'm assuming it's going to be a good one. Chris normally is very, very solid in his recommendations every week.
I try.
All right. So, Chris, are we ready to, let's see, Shake, Rattle, and Roll was not an Elvis song, was it? I don't think it was. I don't think it was not. So I can't say that. I was trying to think of a segue, something. Are we ready to, and I was going to use an Elvis title to get into it. Are we ready to?
I don't know.
Jailhouse Rock doesn't work.
No.
Are we ready to?
Hound Dog
doesn't
really,
work.
No.
There's nothing. Okay, I lost the script on this one. Sorry. Let's just jump right into our review of EPiC, Elvis Presley in Concert.
Been a lot written and a lot said, but never from my side of the story.
During the research process of making the 2022 biopic Elvis starring Austin Butler, director Baz Luhrmann gained access to mountains of archival footage of interviews, performances, and candid moments behind the scenes. A log line I've seen for this new film, EPiC, the letters cheekily standing for Elvis Presley in Concert, is simply follows Elvis Presley featuring never-before-seen footage and recordings. Outside of the Beatles, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more documented performer. What was your experience with EPiC, Elvis Presley in Concert? Did you feel you found anything you hadn't seen before?
No. But that's okay.
Okay.
I mean, And what I mean by that is, look, there's no revelations from this documentary, I don't feel like. I think this film is an interesting film in that it's more of the production of it and the acquisition of the footage and what we're able to see is what makes this film work. I don't think you go into this film expecting that you're going to learn more about Elvis as a person, because again, what we're seeing in front of the camera is what Elvis Presley wants us to see in front of the camera during this whole documentary. And any chance of there being a lot of in-depth exploration of Elvis Presley as a person, I don't really feel like is there. I think we got a lot more from the Elvis movie that allows us to dig into that. I just feel like it's a concert film. That's really what it is made for. 80% of it is concert film footage. 20% of it is some pseudo documentary backing material for the film. It all works, and I had a blast watching this. It's just, I think your question of did I learn anything new or did I uncover? No, not really, but I had a good time with the film because I think the performances that are recorded are really good. I think the footage that is unearthed and put together is really, really great. There's some great backstage footage that I think is really fascinating to watch. Again, I can't help but the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is basically Elvis telling us what he wants to tell us about himself and his story. And I'm like, well, you take all that with a grain of salt. It's like, did the film dip into anything controversial about Elvis as a character? No, save for one little interesting musical element that I think that, Baz Luhrmann's trying to make a little bit of an inference about some things in Elvis's private life. But other than that, it's just a good laid back fun time at a movie watching a good documentary put together really well with some really great footage and some great performances. So ultimately I did really like it, but I think this is a nice companion to the Elvis movie that Baz Luhrmann made, even to the point where Baz Luhrmann, the branding of this film, like the opening graphics and the titles, are exactly like the Elvis film. So it's like it's meant to be a supplement. It's almost like you could watch his Elvis movie, pause it when Elvis gets to his Las Vegas residency, show this documentary, and then go back to the movie. And it's like that's kind of almost in a way, I think, how ideally he'd like for us to see this whole experience. So anyway, I did really like it. I thought technically there was a lot to marvel here. So yeah, I had a good time with it. Didn't learn anything new, but I still had a really good time. So Chris, your thoughts on EPiC Elvis Presley in concert?
So I guess I'm familiar with his music, and other than watching the 2022 biopic Elvis, I really didn't know. It's definitely one of those instances where I feel like I can say, I know nothing about them, but yet I know everything about them because it's a very curated knowledge that I have. Like, a third of a Wikipedia page. I'd be like, yep, I knew all that. So going into this, because it's Elvis Presley in concert, I was expecting it to basically be wall-to-wall footage almost of nothing but performing live. So not that I wasn't looking forward to that, because supposedly I haven't actually watched him perform. I've just heard his music. So I was like, okay. The footage that we do get of him performing live, I thought was pretty good, pretty excellent. It was enjoyable. But what I found more interesting about the performance footage was the fact that, which I think is very wise for Baz Luhrmann to do, is the only voice we hear narrating this entire film. You hear some reporters ask questions sometimes, but you hear only Elvis's voice providing context, or, as you mentioned, sometimes not providing context with images, and you kind of think, wonder what all that's about. And if you really want to know, if you don't get it from the film, that's when you're going to have to go to a Wikipedia page, which I felt like was an interesting choice, but kind of the absence of that commentary made it more obvious. Something as simple. Colonel Parker. I know about him because of Tom Hanks and the way he played him as a mustache-twirling villain in the biopic.
Yeah.
This film acknowledges his presence, Elvis makes some comments, but they don't linger on it. They don't hammer it home, but it's there.
Sure.
And you're like, okay. And then towards the end, like you mentioned, they throw up some text on screen that says, hey, he never fought outside the United States. And you're like, okay. And, he did this residency. But they don't rub it in your face. And I really like that. And I guess with Lerman, he obviously has an affinity for Elvis, very interested in him. He's now made 2 films about him. I would have thought in a way maybe he would try to make a point of like defending him more or something like that. But nope, he just kind of...
Well, I think in a way he feels like his narrative film did that.
Sure.
So it's like, if you saw his narrative film, then you totally get, okay, when they're talking about Tom Parker, yeah, you get all the, you know all the backstory.
Right.
When they show a montage of him and Priscilla, which he doesn't really talk about Priscilla in the film. You know, it's like, but the montage obviously makes it clear that was an important relationship, but it also was one that was troubled and had challenges. Sure. And it was very clear in the way the montages were edited and to what songs they were picked to.
Right.
I mean, even Tom Parker, the whole section where they talk about him, Devil in Disguise, is the song being played. So it's like,
intentional.
It is like, it knows what it's doing, but it's also saying, look, this is about Elvis's music and performances.
Right.
We're going to drop a little hints to remind you that, hey, there were some things going on.
Sure.
But I also made a 2.5-hour movie about that. So
if you want to see that, go here.
Go check that out.
Right.
That's kind of why I say it's a great companion piece, but
sure.
On a standalone, no, you're not going to walk away with like all these revelations and learning about Elvis. But as a companion to what is already out there, it's nice supporting information. So.
And that's, to me, what I was mentioning, only having Elvis voiceover and the fact that, no one listening or everyone listening to this podcast knows this, he passed away a long time ago. So the fact that it's not like he's making comments now in his career. Nope. This is all stuff that was isolated from back then. You don't have talking heads now commenting on. No, it's such a time capsule. And I thought it was a really interesting and really, really good choice to have him do that. Other surprises that I just wasn't really aware of, but seeing him in some rehearsal footage and behind the scenes do versions of Yesterday by the Beatles, Something by the Beatles, Get Back you actually see in a performance where he kind of weaves that
weaves it into another song.
Not expecting that. Like, you think of doing not mixtapes, but doing like combinations of songs, like weaving in that kind of cover thing. Was not expecting that, and that's something that he does with Get Back. The other two, they just show him doing rehearsal of those songs, which making them his own, which people know, like, people say, what's your favorite version of fill in the blank song? They'll be like, oh, I like the Elvis version. I just wasn't expecting that. And to see him kind of working through in his mind how he was going to sing them. And sometimes granted, he knows the camera's on. He's very aware of the camera always. But being goofy and then making commentary specifically, I thought it was funny, his comments that he says about Something, the George Harrison tune. He's like, a little bit suggestive there. Funny for Elvis to say that, who has been criticized for shaking his hips and all this kind of stuff, yet he's, singing the words and he kind of like smiles. He's like, it shows there's some levels there that I don't think I ever got a sense of prior to seeing this film.
Yeah.
And from the man himself, not from a fictionalized version biopic. It's like you see he's very, very, very self-aware.
Very self-aware.
And funnier than I actually, not in a goofy way, but funny in kind of a sly way that I wasn't expecting.
I will say on that note, one area where I in retrospect, I do feel like you probably learn a little bit more about Elvis in this regard, is musical ability.
Yeah.
Look, I've always known he's talented.
Sure.
And I think, that's one of the whole stories about Elvis is that Elvis is known more for his public persona and his appearance.
This like sex
than
symbol,
maybe
flashy
he is
quality.
as being a musical talent. And this documentary does remind you, because you see how invested he is in his music and how particular he is about how he wants music performed and how engaged he is with his band on stage and kind of the performance. So musically, he's on it. What I thought was really interesting is what you're talking about is in this concert footage. I mean, he performs other people's songs half the time.
True.
Which you wonder, okay, well, Elvis, you've got hundreds of songs that you have released, written, performed. You've got plenty to choose from. And they're all hits. I mean, a lot of them are hits. I mean, you could put together 2 hours of you performing your biggest hit and the crowd would go wild.
Right.
Why then do you choose to do Bridge Over Troubled Water? Why do you choose to do Get Back? Why do you choose to do these? And it's an interesting question. It's like, because I actually got into a discussion about this with my family after seeing this, is like, I almost got the sense that it was a combination of he both admired other people's music.
Oh yeah.
He's very admiring of their talent.
Right.
While also jealous in a way, almost feeling like he can make those songs a little bit his own. I just got a little bit of that.
How can I approve on this?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I got a little bit of that vibe from it. It's like, you know, he loves the songs. He respects them. He knows the Beatles are really good. He knows that, you know, Simon and Garfunkel is really good.
Right.
But I kind of want to see if I can make this my own, you know, type of thing, or I can improve on it type of thing. So it's a little respect. It's a little arrogance. And I think that is the one element I did feel like I probably learned more about Elvis, is just his admiration of others' music, while also wondering if there's any jealousy kind of mixed in there as well. There you go.
And not realizing on my behalf, you know, him gyrating on stage or him doing that, I just take that for granted, but how processed and thought about that was. They show him in rehearsal. He's like, okay, I'm going to do this when the drums do this, and I want the lights to do this. It's like, it's very, very choreographed, and it wasn't anybody do it. It was him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, and you just think about, oh yeah, it's just him like swinging his hips. No, there's more to it. There's a lot more thought put into it, and people give him credit, and I would have before seeing this documentary. Oh yeah, he's an entertainer. But then you get an idea from this. He's an entertainer, but he is just very in tune with what he's going to deliver and what he's putting together. That it's just, he is gotta be just one of the top entertainers. And he says he gets this fear in him, and he wants to have this fear in him every time before he goes out on stage. I want people, you know, I want to deliver a show like it's the first time I've ever done anything. I don't want to just go out there, stand still, sing, and play music. He's like, that's not what this is about. This is about a show. And I'm like, I get you.
Yeah, right.
I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but you know, the fact that, and you mentioned it, which I think it was the right move for this film, to let Elvis himself be the only narrator and voice that we really hear. And it is all from recordings, of course, at the time.
Sure.
That, you know, we're hearing in retrospect now. But at the same time, there's a little bit of, you hear Elvis say things and talk about things, and you do kind of wonder how much of this is what he wants to say for the camera versus what's real. There's a comment about how, you know, he doesn't smoke, drink, or do drugs. And it's like, okay. All right. History may not bear that out very well, but we'll see. Okay.
Or the other film, the narrative may not bear that out very well. But
but again, in it's moments like that, you do kind of have to remember, okay, this is what Elvis wants us to hear.
Sure.
There's nuggets of knowledge and truth in there, but at the same time, this is how I tend to look at it more of, this is how he saw himself. How he wanted to be.
And I think how he wanted to be. There's a little, and you can infer into it, but it talks about after he goes off stage, he says, sometimes, you know, we go up the roof and we just sing gospel tunes to kind of wind down, because you're like, now, does he need to wind down because he's on a high of drugs or what? You don't know. But it's just like most people do strive to be a good person. You could just, in that comment, I could think, he's struggling. You know, he's doing these performances. He has to get himself up to do these performances because he's just like a ball of energy. But it's taking a toll on him. Yeah. But he wants to be good. You know, he wants everybody to see him as this like good guy who's funny, always got a smile. You know, and then sometimes that's the other thing. Okay, during this performance footage, some of what we see, you see him kind of kind of like shake his head like, oh gosh, or he'll be like tired, or he'll kind of like, and then he'll kind of wink it down. It's like, no, I'm okay. Or like he'll sing and he'll kind of grab his throat like, oh man, my voice is about shot. But then it's always, he just plays it off for a joke. And you're like, there's something there. And I think you can see there's something there because of what we know of what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fascinating.
There are a couple really, really interesting moments in the film. I think there's a moment during a press conference where we see some cutaway footage. And, there's an opening montage in the beginning. Well, it kind of does a quick run through of Elvis's career up to the Vegas residency. And part of it has to do with his being an actor.
Yes.
And kind of the movies he was being cast in and his kind of commentary on how felt like he was being portrayed and all that. But then late in the film, there's a press conference we cut away some shots of. And one of the people asked him, hey, have you thought about getting back into acting? He's like, if a really good part, if I could actually act and he's like, I'd love it. And then he kind of shouts over to Colonel Tom Parker. He's like, have there been any opportunity, any offers, anything? And it's like, no. Oh, okay. Nothing yet. And it's like, that moment tells me so much. It's like Elvis wanted more.
Yep.
He wanted to do more. And you just wonder how much Colonel Tom Parker's like, nope, I've got my setup. I'm good.
This is what you're doing.
This is what you're going to do. You're going to stay right here. And it was just that, to me, it's just a little throwaway moment in the film, but it did give more commentary on that relationship than I think much else in the film did. But yeah, I thought it was great. I had a really good time. I gotta say, it sounded and looked really, really good.
Yeah.
And it was just a really fun watch. Couple of the performances, couple songs went maybe a bit long. But that's nitpicky. I mean, it's like, Baz Luhrmann edited together multiple versions of the same song show to where it looked pretty seamless, to most, to a normal eye.
Right.
And I think it worked really well. And I love the way he blended in both on-stage performance and then occasionally would phase back into the rehearsal of that song and then back to the stage show. And it was done really in a kind of fun way where it just, you felt like you were hearing the development of this music and then seeing the outcome on stage. And it was a nice presentation of all that. So yeah.
Something you mentioned, the songs that Elvis chose to do, or the songs that we see in the documentary. I was surprised that, with one notable exception, Suspicious Minds, which I'll get to in a second, a lot of the songs weren't Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, some of these Love Me Tender. They mentioned those early on in the build-up to the Vegas thing, but a lot of the songs I wasn't really that familiar with, and I actually liked that. And so I think I didn't really, maybe some songs ran long, but it was like, at least I hadn't heard them 100 million times. So I actually really liked that. It's like, to me, in a way, kind of daring that you're putting together this film and you leave out a lot of the biggest hits that people may have wanted to see him do, like, even though maybe they've seen him do it before. But I really appreciated that. I called out Suspicious Minds. Song, yes, heard many, many, many times. Actually, had never seen him perform. And I would be very surprised if somebody could show me a version that I would consider to be better than this one, or the ultimate version, because, he plays with the backup singers. He does the multiple ending James Brown thing. Like, man, it's just like, it's good. It's kind of putting a bow on it, saying, yes, this is the ultimate showman. Prove me wrong, And I don't think I could.
Well, the fact that it's my favorite Elvis song.
Okay.
I think I loved that part. I mean, to me, yes, you could like or not like the rest of the concert. You get to that last song and it works, and it's great. So no, I'm with you on that for sure. And I thought it was really, really good from that end.
I'll say something that, I will say, knowing Baz Luhrmann, he of Romeo and Juliet and Moulin Rouge, I wanted, and he who made Elvis, you mentioned how you liked the styling of the graphics and then kind of the montage stuff they did at the beginning. And then they did a little bit again at the end. I was kind of expecting more of that to make it a Baz Luhrmann piece. And I wanted more of it. But now that I sit back, I'm like, well, it's not about that. No. It's about just performance and stuff. Yeah. So if you would have jazzed it up with a lot of that kinetic graphics or kinetic stuff, it wouldn't have been true to
agree.
Elvis. So I wanted more of it just because I really liked that style. And some of the Elvis movie that he made, those are some of my favorite parts
Yeah.
because it's just so like visually interesting.
I was actually worried in the first 20 minutes
Oh, really?
when so much of it was very stylized documentary style. I'm like, okay, well, when we get to the concert footage, I hope it's more pure. I don't,
Okay.
and I was happy it was. I mean, it was, yeah. He did some moments. There were some moments every once in a while. He'd weave in some little interesting notes. Again, some little meta commentary on maybe what was going on, just woven in through the way he edited, or would have something kind of dissolve into the screen, very, very minor touches. But for the most part, the concert performances were pretty straight laid out.
Right.
And I was actually happy with that. I was like, let the performance stand on its own. Let us see what the audience was seeing.
Right.
And get that same experience. And I think that was important. There's a closing shot of this thing, coming off stage, going into an elevator,
Yes.
elevator door closing. I thought there are actually two shots in this thing I thought were just masterful. And again, it's not like Baz Luhrmann shot them. I mean, they were footage
Nope,
he found.
they were there.
But finding the shot and using it. One is him standing backstage, getting ready to walk on stage at the very beginning, kind of dimly lit, solid black background as he's backstage in the curtain, and you can just kind of see his legs kind of tapping, almost like there's like a nervous energy to it. And it's like, and then he comes on stage, beautiful shot. And then at the end, him going into an elevator. And that shot of him in the elevator, I don't know what it was. It's like I'm looking at his face as he's like center of the screen as the elevator doors are about to close. And it's like he's got a smile because I think he's happy with his performance.
Right.
He is sweaty. He is like exhausted. But there's also a little bit of it's not exhaustion. It's more of a little bit of a sense of defeat in his face, a little bit of a, like, here I'm doing this again. Here
Right.
I'm just, this is my
And
life.
I know
now. This is
I'm going to
what I
be
do.
doing this again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sometimes as one of the credits show,
Sometimes
3 times a day.
3 times a day. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. It was just really good choices of those shots to kind of bookend the performance segment of the film, and loved it. So
I kept wondering, as the runtime was, I was like, okay, you can tell it's going to end. I'm like, how are they going to end this?
yeah.
And they chose a montage of footage with a poem being read that was perfect. Alan, did you notice, or could you tell who was reading the poem
Within
entitled
3
American
words.
David?
Within 3 words.
It was Bono.
Mr. Bono.
Yeah. And that was just like perfect because if you
Yeah.
know he of U2, like he has a great admiration for Elvis, and his film Rattle and Hum, they go to Graceland and everything. So that was just like, yeah. And I'm familiar. I know he's written like a biography. He's done a bunch of stuff. I don't know if he's also written a book of poetry. So I don't know if this was something
I don't
that
know if
he
a whole
did
book,
for the
but, yeah.
film, or was this something
He already
Baz
had.
Luhrmann was aware of? And he's like, oh, I know how I want to end it.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
I thought
sure.
it was, and I would actually like to read the poem and think
Mm-hmm.
about it because it felt like in a way, I guess it probably wasn't, but it felt like it had been written for that moment.
It very well could
I thought
have,
it was a
yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, and it was a
Good way to
I
end it.
agree. It was a very nice ending. So very, very nice ending to the film. Yeah. All right. Well, that's Baz Luhrmann's epic Elvis Presley in concert. Sounds like we are fans. We liked it. We enjoyed it. I think the audiences for this film is pretty easy to spot. People that like Elvis and are fans of Elvis, or especially if people remember Elvis in his heyday. Yeah, you're going to have a blast with this. It's great. People who liked the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie,
Which
this
made
is a
a pretty
great
good bit of money. Yeah.
great companion piece to that to say, hey, I want to see a little bit more of this period of Elvis's life that obviously Baz Luhrmann is infatuated with.
Sure.
He loves this Las Vegas.
The Vegas years. Yeah.
I still think that was the best part of his narrative film, was portraying Elvis in the Vegas area. So obviously, you could see that as well. That's, I think, if you fall into either of those camps, you're going to have a great time with the film. If you're coming into this film not knowing anything about Elvis, wanting to learn more about him, you're going to get teased. You're going to kind of get some glimpses. You're probably going to want to learn more afterwards.
Sure.
That's okay too, but don't go in expecting this documentary to be like a tell-all understanding Elvis Presley. It gives you glimpses and it gives you his own words and story, but
But
it's all about the performance. That's really what ultimately this film is about, is the performances.
True, but it's not just a concert film, which I think, just to be like, oh, it's just a concert film. It's like, no, because of the way you're talking about, Lerman's behind, he's in the editing bay, and there's a lot of intentionality there.
Yeah,
just like Elvis as a performer, you're like, oh, he just goes out and shakes around and sings. Well, no, there's a lot of intentionality there. Yeah. Lerman with this, also a lot of intentionality. So,
well, I can
appreciate that.
Can I say one more little point before we move on?
Absolutely.
What I thought was really interesting is, if you remember in the narrative film, when we got to the Las Vegas residency portion, it's like a lot of the scenes had to deal with Elvis in that film being really kind of goofy and kind of silly, almost to the point it was a little making fun of him. I remember there was a shot with him like putting the microphone in his mouth.
Yes.
And it's kind of played as for the audience to be like, oh, what is
he doing?
What is he doing? He's like gone off the deep end. He's losing it. That's in the narrative film.
Yeah, it is.
We see that shot in the documentary.
Yes, we do.
And when we see it, it's like, all right, no, it's just Elvis just being goofy on stage. And there's like, you didn't get any kind of weird, sinister vibes from it, like he's like off the deep end or whatever. No, it's just like, no, it actually kind of expands on those scenes in the documentary to say, no, that's just kind of how he was on stage at this time of his life, having fun, and the crowd was eating it up. So, anyway, I thought that's why I think it's a fascinating companion to that first film to see together. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Okay. Elvis, EPiC Elvis Presley in concert, playing some select theaters still for a while. And, we definitely recommend checking it out. I know it started in IMAX. I would have loved to have seen it in IMAX. That would have been really cool. And then just went to standard theaters after that. So recommend checking it out. I think it's worth a watch and a lot of fun. All right, Chris, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got some trailers to watch and we have your recommendation to get to. So with that, stay tuned. You're listening to Foot Candle Films and we'll be right back.
Carolina Barbecue Festival's 5th anniversary is almost here. Get your tickets today for the Queen City's biggest barbecue party, April 17th and 18th, Victoria Yards in Uptown Charlotte. 30 pit masters are celebrating Carolina barbecue traditions, supporting Operation Barbecue Relief, and serving you the very best barbecue. The fun starts Friday night with the kickoff and a salute to all things Charlotte barbecue. Then we all get together for Barbecue Saturday and tasting plates from 25 pitmaster stations. Tickets are going fast, especially VIP early entry. Get yours today, CarolinaBBQFest.org. Then join us April 17th and 18th for the Carolina Barbecue Festival.
Welcome back to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. Alan and Chris with you here. Once again, we had our review of EPiC, Elvis Presley in concert in the first half of the show. Both positive on that documentary, worth checking out. So with that, let's turn our attention to some upcoming films, Chris. We have trailers that come out all the time, and sometimes we get a chance to watch them privately, sometimes we don't. And sometimes we just want to sit down and watch them together, and we can decide what our thoughts are on this early glimpse of films coming out in the coming months. So you brought 2 to the table. I've got 1. So we got 3 total we're going to take a look at here. And you and I have seen none of these trailers, either one of us.
Correct.
So this will be first glimpses for both of us. But at least in the case of one of them, a director that we're both familiar with and kind of always anxious to see what he does next. So let's set us up. This first one, the Christophers that we're going to watch. What is that? Christopher, tell us about the Christophers.
Sure. It's by one Mr. Steven Soderbergh. Ian McKellen is a character in it, and that's almost all I know about it. It has to do with art. And I think McKellen is an artist who has become kind of a bit of a hermit or something. But that's pretty much all I know about it. But after Soderbergh coming off Black Bag and coming off Presence, I'm kind of, I'm always willing to see a Soderbergh joint, and this sounds interesting. So yeah, that's about it. I know it's a 2026 film, but I have no idea when it's coming out. So we'll find that out from the trailer, probably, I guess. So,
All right. Well, then I think you set that up pretty good. Let's do this. Let's watch the trailer for The Christophers.
Other door.
You said this was a restoration job. It's a forgery job.
We know why you hate him.
Think of this as a way to get revenge.
This isn't about the unfinished Christophers, is it? These don't even speak of them.
Everybody knows what one original Julian Sklar from that period is worth.
I lied. You are to speak of them once, when you tell me they are no more. And then bring me the evidence. It's not that I don't trust you, Laurie. It's just that I don't trust you. Have you ever been betrayed, Laurie?
Okay. That was the trailer for The Christophers, starring Mr. Ian McKellen and Michaela Cole. Chris, any initial quick thoughts on that?
can't wait to see it. Soderbergh, I guess he's always kind of just flitted all over the place, except when he kind of stayed in a lane to do the Ocean's movies. But other than that, he just kind of just goes everywhere. And with this, it's kind of a intimate portrait of like an artist, but then it could be, you would think, oh, it's going to be like a thriller where this person is supposed to go and forge his works, but yet no, it's like, I don't know, it's just looks really interesting. It seems like it could be kind of funny as well, but also touching because, he's an older artist, and it just, but a little bit commentary about family and how, just very interesting. And it's, of course, because Soderbergh's working on it, just really well shot. Couldn't be a better trailer. Looking forward to it. Maybe it will be my favorite Ian McKellen performance ever. I don't know. It just seems like he's really having a fun time. I mean, yes, he's also Magneto, but come on. Ian McKellen. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
Ditto. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Again, I'm always just fascinated with Soderbergh, what style movie he's going to make next.
Right.
And I love the fact that you can't ever nail it down. I mean, you see this and it looks like a Oscar baity, acting, a virtuoso performance movie, where very different than either of the two films he did last year.
Right.
Black Bag being more stylish and, kind of a little bit of a throwback vibe to it. And then, of course, Presence was just completely different, shot in
slow burn
style-wise.
horror film.
Yeah, so it's like I love the variety, and this one looks to be the most quote traditional looking film I've seen him try to do, like trying to grab some awards. But at the same time, I'm super excited for it. So
me too.
That's great. All right, I didn't see the date on that. Did it mention a date?
I didn't see a date. No.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's a 2026 release. Just don't know a date for it.
Yeah, and I've already flipped away from it, so I'm sorry. I don't have that handy, but sometime this year.
Right.
Sometime this year, The Christophers. All right. We'll get to your second one in a second, Chris. I'm making a pivot.
Okay.
I did have a film picked out for us to see a trailer for. I changed my mind.
Oh.
I've got a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to show the trailer for a new Hamlet.
Gotcha.
And that is truly Hamlet, like the actual Hamlet we saw with Hamnet, over the last couple of months, but we're changing. I was going to do that. Riz Ahmed was going to be in a more modern day Shakespeare adaptation of Hamlet.
Okay.
Still want to see it, but I'm sorry, I got distracted by another one. So we're going to watch this one instead.
Okay.
This is a film called Mike and Nick and Alice. Okay.
Okay.
It is a feature film that's going to be coming out on Hulu, so not a theatrical release, unfortunately. But it is writer-director Ben David Grabinski, and it stars a Mr. Vince Vaughn, James Marsden, Elza Gonzalez, and I think Keith David, Stephen Root, and so on. It is a time travel movie.
Oh. I like my science fiction.
I know you do. That's why I decided to pivot a little bit and say, you know what? This looks interesting. So why don't we watch this instead?
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do right now is I'm going to pull up this trailer and we're going to watch this one instead because that is being one of the two co-hosts of this show, I can make a judgment call like that. We don't have any producers breathing down our neck telling us I got to stay on script. So we're going to change it up. And here's what we're going to watch. So let's watch this trailer and see if I made the right decision in watching this instead of Hamlet. Here we go.
Open the glove compartment.
What's this?
It's chloroform.
What?
You don't know what chloroform is?
Should I know what chloroform is?
Have you ever seen a movie?
Yeah, I've seen many movies.
And have you ever seen a movie with chloroform in it?
Oh.
Okay, just listen to me. You're going to ring the doorbell. Somebody's going to answer the door. Before they can get out a single word, you take that rag that's soaked in that and you cover their nose and their mouth.
Oh, that's chloroform. That's chloroform? You could have just said the wet rag thing. It made it easier.
Fine, great. Do what you call the wet rag thing.
Okay, so that was the trailer for Mike and Nick and Alice. I don't know how much bleeping we'll be able to do in the edit of this thing. That was a little more of a red band trailer than expected.
Yeah.
Apologize if any language seeped through.
I guess they get around that because it's going straight to streaming.
Right.
So therefore,
yeah. Anything goes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Literally.
So, but Chris, me making the game time decision to swap out this one. Any initial quick thoughts on what you saw here?
It looks fun. James Marsden, I like him. He, got really, Westworld. I spent the most time with Mr. Marsden, but I like him. He seems like I like his work. Vince Vaughn doing the Vince Vaughn thing, but give Vince Vaughn a script where he gets to do the Vince Vaughn thing and be fun. Well, you're doing a good job. The most recent thing I'd seen him in was like a limited series called The Monkey, where he played like a smart talking private eye guy that was kind of a loser. Loved it. And all he did was just be Vince Vaughn, So it seems like this is kind of in that same vein, doing time travel, but not taking it too seriously. It looks fun. It looks fun. Yeah, I had not heard of it at all. I'm not familiar with the director.
So I was just looking up the director. Here's so he's only he directed a film called Happily back in 2021. Not familiar with it.
Okay.
That had Joel McHale in it. That's all I got.
Okay.
He's written a couple of other films, but as far as directing, it's just that. It looks like he had a little bit of involvement in some television as well, but I've heard the name though. That's why I'm just trying to get Ben David Grabinski. I mean, it's kind of a unique name.
It is.
I know it from somewhere, but I can't place it, and the Wikipedia is not helping me any. So
shame on
Wikipedia. I think this looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I like you said, I like Vince Vaughn in a quote Vince Vaughn role, and I don't feel like we've gotten that as much. I didn't see the show you were talking about, The Monkey.
Yeah, I think that was the name of it.
I think that was. Didn't get to see that show, but other things he's been in. I know he's been trying some different things the last few years.
Sure.
This one looks like it's Vince Vaughn getting to kind of have fun with his role. And again, I like James Marsden as well. So kind of like to see him doing comedy.
Yeah.
Which is, nice as well. So anyway, I think it'd be fun.
Sure.
And I mean, hey, look, it's going to Hulu. It'll be on streaming.
March 27th, I think.
Relatively low risk film involvement,
Right.
So why not? We'll get a shot. And I do love a good time travel comedy. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Coming out later this month, March 27th. Great. Now let's come back to your other trailer, Chris. You mentioned you had a second one that you wanted to queue up for us, and I'm going to have it pulled up here in just a second by the time you set it up. So why don't you tell us what that trailer is?
So we're going to talk about the third film from writer-director Jane Schoenbrunn, who first did Let's All Go to the World's Fair, which was a very independent, basically took place more or less within one room, very small budget film. Then maybe 2 years ago, made I Saw the TV Glow, which was much more expansive, had much more of a story, a lot more actors, kind of made a bigger splash with that. That was an A24 film. I'm not sure if Let's All Go to the World Fair was or not. But anyways, this is the third film, and the title is Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, which, long title, stars in some capacity, Gillian Anderson, she of X-Files, which I haven't seen her do a lot of work in a while, so I'm looking forward to see what role she plays. But very interesting, very unique director with kind of a signature visual style. Usually a lot of kind of day glow colors, neon colors involved with a lot of her work. Interested to see.
All right.
What this is.
Well, let's take a look at this. This also stars Hannah Einbinder, who I don't know if you're familiar with her. She is a lead actress and also, I think, writer and creator of that show Hacks, TV show.
I've heard of Hacks, but have not
that
watched
Gene
it.
Smart's in. That
Okay. Yeah.
I know we only do movies. We don't talk TVs. But anyway, kind of curious to see her in this performance as well. So let's take a look at the trailer for Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma.
If it gets too real, you can always turn it off.
Is the heart of love? Is the heart of love? Is the heart of
Okay.
So that seems to be the most Jane Schoenberg-ish film that could possibly be. And,
Yes.
I remember, folks, and I think maybe I've said myself, Wes Anderson, I'd like to see him do a horror movie. Or, people because we both appreciate a lot of his films, but just something complete. He did do stop motion, which was, but Jane Schoenberg, kind of making horror movies in a Wes Anderson aesthetic where stuff at the colors and just the way everything is framed. It's
some very big
the Wes
wide
Anderson
frames,
of horror.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And some things like the style of humor even can be a little, I don't know.
I think it looks interesting.
Yeah.
I think it looks very, very interesting. So kind of anxious to see. Looks to be very much a little bit of a meta commentary on the traditional horror films, but has a lot more going on with it as well.
One of the things of text that came up said a remake, somehow saying it's in a way a remake of, which I guess would maybe be Friday the 13th. But
I don't know if maybe just, the title is kind of lending to, it's taking this whole camp horror movie motif and distorting it and making some meta commentary on it as well. I don't know. I got a feeling that there's more to it than just riffing on camp slasher films, but I don't know. We'll see.
August 7th was the date I saw.
Yes.
So.
Probably it says in theaters August 7th. Just fair warning. Probably not that many theaters.
It's still
7th,
very much an art house type. Yeah.
Yeah. Just probably be some very selected theaters come in. So just you may have to seek it out a little bit more than just walking down to your local multiplex in your hometown.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Well, that's all three of the trailers we had to share today. And all three look interesting. I'm kind of curious about all three of them and looking forward to watching all three of those movies when they come out in the coming months. So we're at the last part of our show, and that's when we turn it over to Chris exclusively to give us a recommendation of a film that he recently caught up with or saw either for the first time or revisited and wants to give us a recommendation of something to add to our watch queue. And Chris, I pretty much know, I think, what it's going to be, but let me go ahead and let you turn it over and do it anyway. What is your recommendation for this week's episode?
I do have it written down on a little notepad.
Yeah, but I knew
laptop.
it before that. I knew it before that. I knew this film came out last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's been on my queue to watch.
Okay.
I have not had a chance to watch it yet, and I'm like, nope, but I know Chris will have watched it, and I want to hear Chris's thoughts on it.
And it was one of my top 10 films anticipated of the year, and it has landed on Amazon Prime. It is Man on the Run, directed by Morgan Neville, and it's focuses on Paul McCartney during the time period after the Beatles had broken up and when he formed the new band Wings, and it has a lot of archival footage. And it's a really interesting piece. One of the reasons why I wanted to recommend it, I mean, it just came out not long ago on Amazon Prime, but also it's kind of a interesting companion piece to our review for this episode, Elvis Presley in Concert, where it's a lot of archival footage. Elvis or EPiC was a lot of archival footage, but mainly honing in on the concert experience. And this Man on the Run is a lot of behind the scenes of like family life and his relationship with Linda McCartney and formation of a band. And so it's a different take, but also has voiceover and relies on that instead of talking heads. And Morgan Neville, he's made 20 Feet from Stardom. He made the Mr. Rogers documentary. So I'm always interested to see what he's doing. He made Piece by Piece, which you and I reviewed, which was the film that was all done in Lego that we were not as big a fan of.
Right.
But I think going back to using archival footage and actually cinematic language as opposed to like animation, I think he's more comfortable in that wheelhouse. Yeah. So it's Man on the Run. Like I said, it's available on Amazon Prime. If you are the least bit interested in the Paul McCartney, I think it's worth a watch. So,
all right, and I don't want to ask too much about it because I'm planning on watching it, and I don't really want to get myself out of it. But in your opinion, do you feel like it does justice to this period of Paul McCartney's musical career?
Yes,
because the thing is, I think the reason why it justifies a documentary is, you look at the history of Paul McCartney, and of course, 95% of it that people think of and recall is going to be Beatles.
Of course.
But he actually spent, I think, more years, like with Wings, I think, maybe, or close. I mean, there's still a lot of years he spent with Wings.
I'd have to do the math. I'm not sure.
But it's still a significant portion of his career.
Well, he's still with us, so he's spent much more time as a solo artist.
Or with Wings.
Right.
And, and that's always a part of his life that I think kind of gets overlooked and obviously under shadow of the Beatles. So
sure.
That's why I'm fascinated by the documentary idea. I hope it kind of does that period of his life some justice and shows us why that period was still a very important creative aspect of his life. So anyway.
Yeah, I think you'll find it interesting.
Good. All right. That's all I want to know.
Okay.
Good.
Fair enough.
I'm watching it no matter what. So all good.
Awesome.
All right. So that is, it's called Man on the Run.
Yes.
Right. Kind of riffing off Band on the Run.
Correct. Which was a Wings album.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Great. Good recommendation there. I predicted correctly. I knew Chris would be recommending it, and I was right. All right. I think that's going to wrap us up for today. So, wow, we got a lot covered today. The review of EPiC, Elvis Presley in Concert, trailers for 3 movies, 2 of them with really long titles. I don't recall offhand how to say them all. Teenage Sex and Murder at Camp Meows.
Sex and Death. Close.
Sex and Death. Close.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then I think I had Mike and Nick and Alice. Is that right?
Yes.
Hey, I am remembering this actually okay. And the third one I've already forgot.
The Christophers.
Oh, the Christophers. Right. A lot of names in there.
Yes.
So, all right. All 3 of those look interesting and will be coming out in the coming months. And then Chris's recommendation of Man on the Run. All right. So, Chris, if anybody has any feedback for us, thoughts, questions, ideas, commentary they want to share with us, please let them know how they can reach out to us.
You can send an email to info@footcandle.org. You can leave us a voicemail via the contact page on the mesh.tv website. You can follow us on Facebook at Foot Candle Film Society, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, we're Foot Candle Film. Al and I are also on Letterboxd, where we try to track what we're seeing and leave quick takes. Do us a favor, if you like the show, consider giving us a star rating, write a review, or share with friends whatever service you receive your favorite podcasts on, because it could help us reach new listeners, which we appreciate.
All right. That'll do it for today. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.